grooves in it usually has gold in it or silver in it. Now the metal has come off, but this bangle with the designs would be for something even more elaborate. The bangle styles became more elaborate over time. We see new styles emerging. This style of bangle was also found in Tibet, even till today, we see it. We found them in Gujarat at a site called Bodhra. And then the discovery in Sarazm in Tajikistan has the same kind of bangle found in Central Asia. When the excavators found this, they just made a note, the lady is wearing two bangles. They had no understanding that this bangle is made from a shank. That shank comes from Karachi area, and it was traded all the way to Central Asia. So Sarazm is here. It's 1,500 kilometers from the coast. You can't get further away from the coast. How did this shell bangle that was similar to ones from Tum come into Sarazm? The woman who's buried with them was surrounded by a big chamber. She had lots of rocks. So they call her the Princess of Sarazm. She had many, many ornaments and also pottery styles. The pottery styles are local. They are from Tajikistan. They're the northern style. They're not from the Indus Valley. But the beads are carnelian bead. Aqiq comes from Gujarat. There's no aqiq like this found in Balochistan. It's not found in Sindh. It's not found in Punjab. It comes from Gujarat. He's also wearing lapis lazuli and a white stone called steatite. Steatite probably comes from Hazara, northern Pakistan, and the lapis comes from Badakhshan in Afghanistan. So here's a woman with burials of ornaments from the coast, from Afghanistan, from Hazara, northern Pakistan, from Gujarat, and all of these things were traded into the central region. What's really interesting at this point is this is the type of beads that were being made in the Indus Valley. So this is the type of bead that she was buried with. And the Indus region, we know that those carnelian came from Gujarat because we've analyzed them. The most important thing was now we have new technologies, technology for DNA analysis. The DNA is the code that each person has that identifies who their parents were and their ancestry was. And very fortunately, the scholars studied this woman, they did their DNA. Her DNA is 80% local, meaning she's definitely from some local community, but 20% of her DNA is from this Indus region. So she is probably the daughter of a woman who was married to this area from the Indus Valley. And it shows that over generations, people were probably intermarrying between the coast and the highlands, and their materials are going back and forth. To summarize it all, this is the region where the shell comes from, Karachi. And these shells were going from the area of Sindh to Balochistan, to Punjab, to Afghanistan, to Central Asia. And basically, this shows the contributions of the southern region to one of the important symbols of identity at this early time period. And the shell bangle that we found in Harappa probably dates to the Ravi phase. The Ravi phase is the earliest phase of occupation in Harappa, where we have the evidence of people living in small houses. And in that Ravi phase, we see wide shell bangles, as well as chudi. Now the difference here is kangan are worn by people who can do heavy work. Chudi are worn by people who don't do heavy work. So these are worn by people who are more elite. So if you're wearing very fancy, thin chudi, you're not digging ditches, you're not excavating, you're not working hard. You're probably telling servants to do things for you and how to make the chapatis. You probably aren't making them yourself, right? So I'm explaining here that there, for the beginning of these occupations, we start seeing the hierarchy of status of communities, and bangles are an important indicator of that status. So where did this thin shell bangle style come from? Was that also invented in Sindh, or was it invented somewhere else? I'm still trying to study it. My friend Rajesh, who is working in Gujarat, excavated an early Harappan cemetery at a place called Junakatia. The Junakatia is a small settlement on the island of Kutch, just across the border from Pakistan, okay, the thin area. So Junakatia is here, and this burial has thin shell bangles. But they are made from shunk. They're made from a large shell that they ground down until they made it very thin. So this is an indication of the technology that they're spending a lot of time to make a very thin type of ornament. So it could come from Kutch, but I'm going to jump now back to Pakistan, to the area of Balakot, where I first did my research. Now you can say that Balakot is part of Balochistan, but it's still part of Sindh, the southern region of Pakistan. It's just across the Habni River in Bela, Las Bela region. In Balakot, we have evidence of early settlement before the Harappan times, and the people who were living there were making various types of pottery, including pottery that has early Harappan writing on it. The earliest Indus script is found in Balakot on pottery. So we see these symbols on the pottery, and this is one of the signs that is most important in Indus script. So Balakot was contributing some aspects of Indus archaeology or Indus ideology and technology. And at Balakot, this is a picture when I had long hair and I was younger, and I began studying shell bangles found in Balakot. And it turns out that in Balakot, the earliest shell bangles they were making were not from the shunk, but they were from a sipi, which we call Tivala damoides. Okay, it's a shell, flat shell. And that's made by chipping and grinding, very simple technology. And that results in a churi. You can't make a kangan from this, you make a churi. So I think that the beginning of the thin bangles started with the shell made in Balakot. We need some more studies of coastal sites to make sure. Eventually, the people who used to make shunk, they decided, okay, we can also make thin shell bangles. They developed special techniques to do that. You take a shunk, you can cut it with a saw, you can make many bangles from this, and this technology continues even today in Bengal. This is a Bengali shankari, and they're using